Thank you so much for being here, Damaris. Um,
Mhm.
I've, 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 I've researched a little bit about you, and I am intrigued. You have a wonderful story. The why I love your story is it didn't define you. You came out of it and actually better than most of us out here, and it's really admirable because before I'm giving our audience a little bit of before we get into it. I just want them to
Yeah.
understand why you're here and why you're so special and why your story is very special. Um, it's because you're strong, and if we can tap into the secret of how you are able to do the things you did in whatever circumstances and situations you are in, is something as we can all aspire, and maybe that can help someone else out there that is struggling maybe, and that shouldn't define them, and they can actually succeed in life, and that should not stop them. I just wanted to start by that.
Yeah.
So first, tell us about Damaris.
Okay, so Damaris Kimani is 20, she's 20 years old, turning 21 the end of this month.
Wow, happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you in advance. So yeah, so I actually do a lot of events planning. I do events
Okay.
planning, I do stage managing. I am also having an initiative that's called Most Loved Initiative. It's an initiative
Okay.
that deals with the less fortunate, but I really focus more on the street kids.
Okay.
I go have conversation with them and see the ones that are very willing to change. And from there, we get to the next step of maybe taking them to a rehabilitation center so that they
Yeah.
can start their process of reforming and maybe going back to school. Yeah, so that is also one of the things that I do. And I'm also a gospel minister. I also do sing. I'm an actress. Yeah, that's Damaris Kimani.
So what led you to event? First, I want to get to that. What led you
Okay.
to what you're doing right now?
So actually, what led me to get to the initiative, it's because of the life that I went through ever since I was a kid. And so through that journey of my life and the difficulties and all that, I really got to learn a lot of things. Number one, and the best lesson that I learned is do not judge someone. Once you see maybe someone being a prostitute, sorry to say, a prostitute or a housemaid, or even those street kids, it's not good to judge them unless maybe you get to a step of asking them, "Well, how did you end up here? What was the reason for you to end up here?" And so ever since I had a very huge issue with my dad, because that's where my story is actually leading to. And the last statement that he actually told me, that from today it's either you go and be a prostitute, you either go be a housemaid or a street kid. From that point is when I understood that those people who are outside there on those streets, it means that they have really gone through a lot, even with their biological parents. Because this one was not my stepfather, he is my real father. So you can imagine, if that was me, what about those people who are outside there? What is their story? What's the story behind them that has made them to end up in to do whatever they are doing? So I got encouraged and motivated with actually the scars that I went through. And I decided, wow, I can start an initiative whereby I can go outside there and get to know the stories of these people, what they are going through, and why did they end up there. And so that is where I started my initiative. And that was actually 2 years back. Yeah, that's how I started it. It's because of
So what?
it's because of my life
Mhm.
background, the story that I went through. That is what led me to the initiative.
So how do
Yeah.
they feel now when you actually go out there and show them some love, and this initiative you're doing? What kind of impact are you making in the community?
Oh my God. Let me tell you, my dear, the impact is really doing something. Like, I really feel like crying. And let me tell you one thing that I noticed, that in this world, you can do anything for someone, but love is one great thing that people don't know. Because let me tell you, these people, they are in the street there, even the prostitute or even those less fortunate people. But you find that nobody gives them a shoulder to lean on. Nobody gives them an open space of just trying to expose themselves, just trying to open up and tell them how they feel. They don't have that shoulder to lean on, that when I'm going through this, he or she can come and tell you, this is my life, this is what I'm going through, and at least get that someone who is going to comfort them and tell them this and that. That is what, that one thing that they lack. And trust me, when they find this love, it becomes something else. So there is a really huge impact that is shown to these kids when you just give them that opportunity of just having them and being with them, just talking with them. Only that, it's something that is very great and very impactful to their life, because that is one thing they miss. Because, you know, one thing, for instance, let me just use the street kids. When you walk in the streets and maybe these kids, they're trying to ask for maybe food or even that 10 shilling, 20 shilling, people intend to, you know, like, toka hapa, you know, get away, I don't want to have any conversation with you, what is wrong with, they even go to an extent of even abusing them. So you can imagine, if they get an opportunity of that someone who is at least giving them a space to expose and tell them what they feel so loved. So I have seen a huge smile in these kids, the smile that they never had, you know, because they have suffered rejection and all that. And, you know, suffering rejection, you know how it feels to be rejected by people. If you have been rejected by your family, and again the society rejects you, you know, that's why a lot of people end up by committing suicide or even end up in depression because of such kind of a thing. And so when God decided to give me that vision, to give me that dream, I decided to go for it. I decided to be that person, that shoulder to lean on for those kids that are being despised by the society.
Yeah, and you're actually being a role model to them, and that's really important as well. If you have somebody to look up to, you know, you can fix your pathway. So
Yeah.
you've touched on why you started this, with your experience with your dad and his last comments to you. So take us back from the beginning and why you are where you are, so that our viewers can understand the person that is talking to them right now.
Okay, so maybe to go back to my childhood journey. So it all started when my dad actually became a drunkard, because my dad was actually working with a certain circle of Matat. We used to live in Umoja, that is where I got born and raised until I reached class 4, and then we shifted to a place called Kayole, where we still live till date. So my dad, one thing that really destroyed him was drinking too much, and it reached a point whereby he was even chased away from where he was working, because now he used to drink so much to a point of he could not even wake up in the morning because he has hangovers and all that. And so my dad started becoming so violent to us, to my mom, and also to my siblings. And so I remember at that point, my mom used to have like a small business. He used to sell githeri and maize, the maize that are boiled, you know, and, you know, some one, two, three things. But now I remember there was this one day that my mom's business got to a point of ending. And this is what happened. So my dad came home. It was around 2 p.m. in the night. And I remember I used to sleep late because I used to help mom to at least, you know, kutoa mahindi, to peel those mahindis, you know, I used to help her to do one, two, three things so that she can wake up
The
early in the morning
vegetables.
at, yeah, so that she can wake up early in the morning at 4 a.m. to at least start preparing them, because it's a bit process. And so I remember that day my dad came and we had forgotten where we had kept the keys of the gate. And so we had him outside. He was knocking and he was, you know, shouting and using names. Why are you guys taking long? What? So we had to wake up our next door neighbor to ask for the gate keys. And so I remember after we opened, my dad was so violent that day. He began beating my mom up. He even took a metal. He wanted to hit her with it. And I remember that anytime that I could see my mom screaming, you know, because of how she was beaten, anytime I used to see my mom, how she was struggling and crying because of the serious beating she used to be given by my dad, I used to run away. I used to run outside because I didn't want to hear that cry of my mom. It was very painful for me. It was very heartbreaking. And so I remember this day now my dad came, and now he got to a point of everything, the maize, the beans that we had prepared in plenty, he took all of them and poured them outside. My mom used to buy his stock in plenty. She had even a sack of charcoal that he used to prepare at least the meals with. He took the sack which was with, full of charcoal. He took kerosene and poured in it. Nah, you know, it was just kills. He did a lot of things that were very hurting. And I remember that day my mom's business came to an end because of what my dad had did that night. And so it was very heartbreaking, it was very bad. And you know, life started changing. And so after some time, I remember my dad, now it reached a point whereby we could not see him at all at home. And so because my mom business began to calm down, I remember now it reached a point whereby the landlady came and told us, now, you know, you guys have really stayed for a month, and the deposit is already over, so we cannot continue to host you without you guys at least making effort of paying the house rent. And so it will reach a point whereby if you guys won't have cleared the rent by this time, I will just call some guys, and you know, they will remove everything from your house, and that will be it. And so I remember it reached a point whereby clearly my mom had no money, my dad is nowhere to be found. So these guys came and they removed everything from our house because we couldn't afford the house rent at that time because of how the situation had changed. And so I remember we had no place to go. You know, my last born sister, she was very small at that time, and it was very painful because now we wondered, where are we going to go, where are we going to start now, because things have changed. My dad is nowhere to be found. We are trying to call him, we are trying to reach him, he's not available. And so my mom told me, I think we're going to borrow transport from one of our neighbors so that we can get to go to my auntie's place in Rwai. She stays in Rwai. And so that is what happened. And so I remember when we went there, you know, when you go to someone and you don't have even a milk or something to take to them, and yet that is another family, it's so very bad. It's a bad picture. And so my mom, when we went there, she said we were not going to stay for long because we don't want to be a burden to that family. And so she told us to prepare because we are going to start a new life and we are going to go to up country. And so that is what happened. After some time, we went to up country in Nyeri. And so we started a new life there. I even started going to school in my village, you know, and it was something else because life changed completely. And so I think after a year, my dad came back looking for us after he heard that we went to up country. And so he came and he talked to my shosh and my grandmother, and he told him that he told her that I'm very sorry for what I did, I'm very sorry for not being responsible of my family, and so I think it's time, because I have changed, I need to take them back. Will you allow me? And so my grandmother said it's okay, and because my mom used to love my dad, he said it's okay, I'm going to give you another chance. And so from there, we were told to go back we had to come back to Nairobi. And so when he came back to Nairobi is when we found my dad had shifted now from Umoja to a place called Kayole. And so when we were in Kayole, in some point, we used to live in like a small house, like a single room. I used to call it a cube because it was very small and we were very squeezed. Everything is so squeezed. And so I remember when we shifted to Kayole, it is when now life began to change very seriously. Because now it reached a point where, because you know, we didn't used to have a lot of things in our house, like those furnitures and all that. So my dad started like bringing some shopping, you know, he's bringing some utensils, he's adding up things, life started changing. And we were like, wow, God is really doing great things because our life has started changing. And so he even bought a TV because we never used to have one. He bought TV, he bought a TV, he bought chairs, you know, so all those kind of things that are needed to be in a household. And so we shifted from a single room to a double room. And so from there, we were wondering, wow, okay, last we know that my dad doesn't have a job. But where is all this coming from? But we never used to mind. We're like, okay, anyway, it's life, and we are enjoying at last, because we never used to have this and that. So the fact that my dad is bringing them on board, you know, it's life and life is changing. And so I remember after some time, my dad now began to have a certain company that we were never aware of, where we were used to told by the people in that area, because he used to go to a certain club just around there where we used to live in Kayole. And so I remember at that point, someone came and told us that, my dad is called Charles Kimani. So he told us, your husband is working with a certain group that it is known here in Kayole. It is not a good group. And so my mom was like, she can't take it, because maybe these are just rumors from people that they just want to destroy your family. So she never accepted what people were telling her. And so I remember the guy kept on insisting, and he was saying that it is better you warn your husband, because of this company that he's working with. It is not a good company. But now my mom never used to trust those people. But now it reached a point where I remember my mom began to have doubts. And so she told me one day, she woke me up very early in the morning, and she told me, I want you to take me to that bar, a certain club there, where I'm told that your dad usually goes, and let us go and at least peep to see if whatever these people are telling us is the truth, because they used to tell us that my dad used to rave there till morning with those women, and with those men, just drinking. And I remember that we took this step and we went there with my mom. When we peeped, yes, we saw that this was truth. It was the truth. And it was very hurting. It was very emotional, especially for my mom, because she was like, oh my God, this is not where my husband is supposed to be. This is not him. This is not the company for him. And so I remember my mom started approaching my dad about that, and he was very violent. Like, he used to use abusive words. You couldn't ask him a question like, why is this and this happening? Why? Is because everything changed. And so from there, we shifted now from the double room, and we went to a self-contained house. And so when we went there, it is when now my mom came to realize that my dad was a thug. He was a thief. Like, this company that he used to have, it was a bad company. It's a company that they used to work with guns. They used to go and steal for people. That is how they used to make money. So that is when we came to realize that everything that my dad has been buying new, the food, the furnitures and everything, it's for because of what he has been doing, this bad work that he has been doing. And so it was very hard for us. And I remember my mom was my very best friend. He never used to share such kind of things with anyone. He used to share them with me. And so my mom, I remember he called me and he told me that, I want to talk to you, and whatever I'm going to tell you, I don't know how you're going to take it, but I at least want you to have this information. And so I asked her, what is it? So she told me, so this is what is happening. Your dad is a thief, is a robber, and he uses guns. The company that he has, they use guns. So I just wanted you to
But
have that information
Damaris,
in case of anything
just one
happens.
question
As a
to
child,
understand.
you will be scared. Like, how? How is even that possible from a driver?
Yeah. He
Yes.
started off driving when your mom married him,
Okay.
and before
Mm-hmm.
he was working an honest job. So he started afterwards, after you guys went to up country and came back, is when he was involved with bad company.
Yeah. By then he had already connected with the bad company, but
Okay.
we did not have that information. We came to have that information later, and we were
Okay.
not taking it because we weren't believing it. Like, it was unbelievable. And so now when we were in this self-contained, and now my mom has given me this information, it was very hard for me to take it and to believe it. I was like, oh no, that is very impossible. That cannot happen. Especially when you are told that he uses guns, he has a gun. Like, how? And so it was very hard for me. But I remember by then, okay, I was this understanding child. I was this understanding person. And so when I got the information, I was like, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so we are going to live with how things are. And so I remember that time I had already reached class 7. And so from this point is now when my dad started. He was now on cases every time, was now on cases every time, because most of the time that they used to go and steal, sometimes they would go amiss, and maybe they are found, or maybe the information is passed to the police that I have been stolen my car with this and people, these people. So sometimes when they used to go to those missions, someone could get killed and some people would get to survive. And so whenever they used to survive, they used to go for exile. They used to go somewhere far, whereby we cannot get them. And so I remember it reached a point whereby these policemen, they were CID. They had to take a step of now coming to look for this family. Who are the people who are responsible for this guy? Who are the people who are responsible for this man? And so they got details of where we were living. And so from there, when they came, they used to ask, we heard that Kimani was here yesterday. Where is he? Can you produce to us Kimani? Or if you're not going to produce for him, where anywhere we will get him, it will be shoot to kill. So it is good you provide for him now that we need him. And so my mom used to react so harshly and used to tell them, I don't know where he is. We broke up with him so many years ago, so I don't know where he is. And mind you, just to take you back, I had forgotten that before we even got to this self-contained room, my dad took a step of marrying another woman. He married a second wife. He came with her to our house. She introduced her as our second mom. She even took a step of going to her at his own place whereby he was born, and she got to introduce the woman to her mom. You know, it was kills. And so that, sorry about that. So they used to
Yeah,
search
it got
for him
disconnected.
thoroughly. I'm
Okay.
sorry. They used to search for him thoroughly, and they were like, you have to provide for us this man. And so for us, yes, we used to have the at least an information where he is, but we couldn't tell this policeman where he is, because at the end of the day, he's your dad, he's your parent, and you're very scared. You know, such kind of
Yeah.
a thing, it's not easy. And so let me tell you, my dear, it reached a point where now my mom started telling me that you have to tell your dad to at least open an account for me so that I can get to save some money, so that immediately you finish up your class 8, I don't struggle to get you in the secondary school. And so I tell you, I used to call my dad and tell him, Dad, can you please create an account so that you can at least be saving some cash in case of anything happens. And so my dad, he was very harsh, and he used to tell me that that is my money. I know how to use it. You're not going to control me on how I'm going to use my money. And so I was like, okay, I apologize, but it was just an idea that I came up with so that I don't end up struggling when I finish up my class 8, because I'm almost heading there. And so my dad, he was like, have you even finished your class 8? Why are you rushing things? I told him, no, it was just, I just wanted to prepare. I used to keep on, I used to him that, sorry about that. I used to keep on telling him that a lot of times. And I tell you, he was very harsh, and it reached a point where I told my mom, I am not going to ask for the money again. I am not going to ask him to opt to reopen the account again. And so I was tired, and I told mom, it is what it is. Whatever how the situation will go, we'll just take it as it is. And so here I come. I reached class 8. I'm now almost finishing my class 8, and now my dad is nowhere to be found. We are trying to reach him. He's not there. He now reached a point whereby he was not taking his responsibility as a parent the way he used to do. And so I tell you, I remember after I finished my class 8, it was really stressed, because I remember he was nowhere to be found at that point of life. And so even life began to be so hard, because now my mom told me, your dad is nowhere to be found. And so what you are going to do, we are even going to shift from this house, because the landlord of this house has already started pushing me. I don't have money, I don't have business, your dad is nowhere to be found. So we have to shift to another single room, just to accept life the way it is, and just to get back where we were very comfortable, because now nothing is going on. And so I remember my mom had to force herself to sell most of the furniture that we had, that dad had bought. So he had to sell the TV, he had to sell a lot of furnitures, he had to sell the radio, he had to sell the cupboard, he had to even sell up she reached a point whereby she had to even sell a mattress, just to make us survive and to make us to continue with life swiftly, because that time we don't have money. My dad is nowhere to be found. We are trying to call him, but he's not getting back. We are trying to even call our second mom, now the stepmother. She was not even getting back. And so it was very stressful, and it reached a point where by now that is when I started doing drugs, because I felt I've already finished my primary school, but now my dad is nowhere to be found. And now days continue going, and my time to now be admitted in high school came, but we don't have money. We don't have any source of money. And so I remember after my mom sold everything, we had to go to look for a house somewhere ghettoish. We had to go to a place called Matopeni. And so my mom told me, we are going to start life again from zero, and you'll at least understand me, because the position that I'm in right now, it's so bad. And so myself, I used to understand my mom so much, because I had already learned life the hard way. And so I remember telling my mom, it's okay, I'm good with it, but the place you're telling me that we should go and look for a house, it is very insecure. What about the kids? Well, they will be going to school very early in the morning, and this place is very insecure. And so my mom told me, whenever you are going a hard situation, whenever you feel that poverty has knocked you in your face, there is nothing you can do, there is nowhere you can stay, yani you can do anything for you to survive. And so such kind of words used to encourage me so much, because my mom has made me learn life the hardest way. And so I remember we went over there and we find a house that was very cheap, 2,500. And so my mom told me, let's go back there and prepare so that we can shift. And so I remember we went back to prepare so that on our way back, we found another house. And I was telling mom, why don't we go there and look at it and see if it is at least affordable for us. At least the place I suggested the second time, it looked a bit safe, and it was a bit open, so security there was a bit good, comparing to the other one that we had found. And so my mom told me, let's go and try. And I thank God, because that day we went and we found the house was the same price that we found with the other one that was in an insecure place. And so I told mom, let us take a step of going there, let us take a step of just shifting here instead of the other place. And so she said yes. And so we went back and started preparing now to go back to a single room from a self-contained. And so that happened. And so when we shifted there, I remember life began afresh, and we felt at a lot of peace, because nobody was disturbing us. We were not having the knocks of police every time now and then. We are not living in a place whereby we feel so undercovered that people are trying to investigate us, because that self-contained house, it was a lot of stress. We never had peace at all because of what my dad was doing. And so when we got to shift there, life began anew. And I remember now, the time that I'm supposed to report school, it has started. First term has already cleared. My friends that we used to study with them in a primary school, they used to call me and tell me, hey, how is school? Which school did you go to? How are you finding the subjects? And I used to lie to them. I used to tell them, hey, this subject is very easy, especially biology. I've got to learn a lot of things. We're even planning to go to Funkies and all that. I used to lie to them. Yani, and I've not even reported. I even don't know how a high school looks like. What are the subjects that people learn there and all that? And so I remember at this point, I now started getting to drugs. I started involving myself with bad company, because Kayole, it's not a good place. It's a place that is full of gangster. It's a place that is full of bad company and all that. And so when I started involving myself with those company, I remember we used to drink alcohol a lot. In fact, I used to struggle with alcohol so much. And so I went on graduating. I went from alcohol to bang, from bang to Mira. I used to chew cat so much. After that, I used to go to clubbing. I used to go to house party endless times at that young age. And I remember now, it even became so stressful to my mom, because now my mom was telling me, will you not be coming to this house when you're drunk? Do you think this is your house? You think you've now reached the age whereby you can do things the way you want? And that time my head was, you can't tell me anything. My life already has changed. I don't have a life. I never go to school, because my dad is not concerned, and he's the only person who can help me out. And so I remember I began to be let me say, I struggled so much in a point of I became an addict, because I used to do a lot of things that were never pleasable at that time. And I remember even that time, even when I share my photos with you, I used to look so bad. Not like the way I'm looking right now. I used to look so bad. Even that time, I don't think so anybody could have admired me because of how I was looking. But I thank God because He changed me. And so, my dear, after that, I remember my dad came back, because the place whereby we were living in the self-contained to where we shifted to a single room, it was not that far. And so when he came and he got the information that we shifted, he had to ask the kids around. And so the kids took him from where we had shifted. And so I remember this one time while I was with those guys that I used to chill with them, I remember, he took a point of coming. And when I was coming back to our house, I found him there. And I was very happy because I knew, oh my God, my dad has come. So this is school fees. My school fees is finally here. So it is my time now to go to school, because my dad has come after not seeing him for a long time. And let me tell you, it was different because he was just coming to survey, just to see, okay, so this is where you guys shifted. So this is where you stay. And I remember my dad was somebody who was very ish, was like, oh my God, how do you guys survive here? How do you guys survive in this squeezed place? It is like he had never lived such a life before. But that's how my dad transformed. And so we told him we survived, you went and things changed. We had no finances. And so we had to sell a lot of things in our house just to get at this point whereby we are right now. And so my dad was like, okay, I just wanted to know where you guys are living, and that's it. And so I asked him, so my dad, right now we are in the second term, it's only one term and the year is over. What are you planning about my school? He told me, you're not going to tell me you're not going to tell me how I'm going to handle things. You need to understand that it is my money, it is not your money. So I'll do what I'll do according to the time that I'll choose, not you according to the time that you'll choose. And I was like, it's okay. And so from there I decided that I just sat down and I thought that I'll never go to school, like ever in my life I'll never go to school. That is where my education level has reached. And so that is when now drugs became my comfort, because that time I was not saved. I did not have someone who could at least encourage me. Instead, people used to judge me so much. And that's why I told you, when I started that initiative, I got to understand what it is like to be judged by people when they don't understand what you're going through for you to do what you're doing. And so people used to talk, and especially women used to say that, oh my God, this lady won't finish his school. He will get pregnant because every time he's with men, every time he's using drugs, there is nowhere she will go, nini. And I remember that time I used to take it because I felt that I am nobody in this society, because my parent, who is supposed to be my responsibility, he is not taking any responsibility. And so I used to take those words. And I remember that every time when I used to go to those people whom we used to smoke, to use drugs with, whenever we didn't have supper, whenever we didn't have something to take, they were like my second family. I used to go to them and I tell them, hey, please help me with 100 shillings, help me with 200 shillings, because we don't have this and this. And so they used to help me. And because I had learned life the hard way, with that 100 shillings, I used to budget it bit by bit until it could fit, and make sure that my family at the end of the day, they have supper. In the next morning, they have breakfast. And so I'm telling you this, my dear, that was life then. And it reached a point where my mom told me, I feel so bad when I see you here. I feel like I'm not doing something as a parent. And so my mom told me, I'll start washing clothes for people, so that I see if I can get something, and see where we can start by doing that. And my mom used to go to some joints whereby women sit there to at least wait for work to wash people's clothes. And I remember when my mom used to go there to chill in those joints, it reached a point whereby the money that she's getting cannot make me go to school, because maybe it's 200 shillings, Kenya shillings, maybe it's 300 Kenya shillings. And you see that one, maybe you can just get to buy supper food with it, because it cannot help in a very huge way. And so I remember one day my mom, when she was coming back at home, she found her friend. She found a friend of hers. They had longed each other for a long time. And so they started talking, and then, you know, they were just trying to catch up. How is life? How is you? How have you been for all those years? And so her friend told her, I've been good. I got married to a white man and life has been easy. You know, I'm staying in a certain estate, what. And so when she asked my mom, what about you? So my mom told her that for me, life has been so tough because of this and this and this. And so I remember that woman pitied my mom so much, and she told her, if that is what has been happening, I can allow to host you guys to work as my housemaids, but in payback I will not give you money. What I'm going to do, I will pay you guys back by making sure that Damaris has gone to school. That is how I'm going to pay you back. And my mom was very okay with it. And I remember this day she came home. She was very excited. She was very happy, and she was like, oh my god, I have this good news, but I don't know how you're going to take it. I found my friend, and this is what she told me. So are you ready, and are you set for us to go to work as housemaids at her house so that you can get your school fees? And oh my god, I was like, oh my god, how am I? Okay, I'm at this young age, how am I even going to bear with that? How am I even going to handle that? And so because I had understood life, I had understood life the hardest way, and I had learned things the hardest way. I told my mom, it's okay, I'm good with it. So long as I'll get to go to school, I'm good with it. Remember that time now we had reached that term. This is now the last term for now the year to end. I have wasted like a whole year outside. And so this woman said, anytime you guys are ready, you can just come. And so I packed my clothes and we decided to go there. She used to stay in a place called Komarok. And when we went there, we now decided to divide shifts. So I told my mom, I'll be working at night. When I immediately am done with school, when I come out of school, that is when I'm going to start my work. But during the day, it's when you're going to work. And my mom was very okay with it. And so that is how I started my school. I started my school at that time, and I remember that time I was being admitted when people were doing their last examinations, the examination to get in the next class. And so the principal was like, it's okay, you just write whatever you're going to write, so long as you're admitted, that is the important thing. And I told her, it's okay, me, I'm good to go. And so my dear, I remember we used to work there thoroughly, and that woman used to give us work, like serious work. You know, she used to accumulate clothes, utensils. Her and her kids could use the utensils anyhowly, you know, just because they know there are people who are working. And so let me tell you, it reached a point whereby it was one Saturday, we were doing a general cleaning in that house. And so this woman, while we were doing the general cleaning, this woman came and started shouting, and she said, I had kept 10,000 Kenya shillings in my bag here, and I am not seeing them. Where could that money be? And so we were like, okay, we have done a general cleaning in this house, but we have not seen any cash anywhere. And so we told her, oh my god, we haven't come across such kind of money in this house. And so she was like, what are you trying to mean? Are you trying to mean that my kids are the one who have stolen? I know my kids very well. They are not the one who have stolen, you know. And she talked and she talked, and those words were very hurting. And so my mom decided that we are not going to stay here, because in short, this woman is trying to say we are the one who have stolen the money. So this woman was communicating to us indirect. And so my mom told me, this is what you're going to do. Pack your things. Let us go back to the life we're going. Whatever is going to happen, I don't know, but let us move away from here, because this woman is trying to tell us that we are the one who have stolen. And so, my dear, from there, my school life, it was cutted again. Just after I thought I have seen the light at the end of the tunnel, it is now where darkness came and striked us like completely, and we had to start over again. And so because she was the one who was providing my school fees, now she was no more to provide my school fees, and now I had to stop again my school. And I remember at this point, when we got back home, my mom started becoming so sick. She had blood pressure, and so my mom could never even wake up in that bed. And so I was the one who had to take responsibility to go look for money, so that our kids can at least eat, my family can at least get to eat. And so these people who are my second family, the ones whom we used to take drugs with, they're the ones whom I used to go to them and tell them, this is how we are, kindly help me out. And they used to help me. They were always there for me. And so I remember after going there, I told them what is going on, and they decided to help me. And so I got back home, and I remember along the way I met with my friend. And so I told my friend, my mom has been so sick. She's not even able to wake up from her bed. Let us go and see her. And she told me, it's okay, let me even just get some fruit so that we can get to take the fruits to her. And so when we went, I remember that day my mom was very sick, and she was shaking, she was vomiting blood. She was like, I need to tell you this and this. So my mom began telling me things. She was like, I want to tell you that when you grow up to a point of whereby you're going to have your work, you're going to have a family, and you're going to be blessed with a lot of money, because I know that one day God will bless you. Do not forget people, do not forget your siblings, do not forget this and that and that. And so I wondered, why is my mom telling me all this? And so I was just accepting what she's telling me. And then now all of a sudden she told me that at this point that I have reached, I feel that I cannot survive. I am totally sick. I cannot do it. I just feel like I'm going. And let me tell you, I was like, oh my God, you cannot take my mom when I am seeing. And so I went outside in our balcony and I cried so much. I cried so much bitterly because it was very hurting. And I was like, oh my God, we have just started over again. And here we are. My mom is very sick. She's our breadwinner. She's my mom. She's my dad at this point. If not her, I'm the second person. I don't have a job. My school life has now stopped. And it's like darkness has covered us all over, and we don't have even that light whereby we can at least see if we can pave way and try to see if we can see light again. And so it was very hurting. So I cried a lot at the balcony and I said, I am not going to watch you taking my mom. It was one sad moment, and that will be a moment that I'll never forget. And so I remember that time when my mom was struggling. She was like, take that receipt that is there, call that doctor, tell him that nimekuwa worse, like my disease has now worsened up. And so I remember I struggled now because the receipt had been written the medicine that my mom needs, and it was 900 Kenya shillings. And I remember that time we couldn't afford that kind of money. And so I took a point of, I said, if my mom is really struggling and right now she's fighting for her life, I have to run and see what am I going to do to get this money so that I can get her the medicine. Maybe she can cool down. And I remember I went back to that family I had, the ones who used to use drugs with, and I told them, my mom is at this point. Kindly help me with this and don't ask me how. I don't want questions. Right now, my mom's life, it's now here. I have to also help her fight for it by getting this medicine. And so I remember that day I met with my dad, surprisingly, and I told him, Dad, mom is very sick, and this is the kind of money that we want to get her medicine. And these were the words of my dad. People get sick and people die. So if she's to die, she'll die. But if she's for surviving, she will survive. And I tell you, that day I fighted and I said, I'm not going to stand here and start crying, because I met him while he was going to a club. I said, I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to stand here and take those words and start crying, because when I waste any minute, any second, my mom is continuing to be worse, and she really needs me at this point. And so let me tell you, I started contacting people and I was like, do you have 100 shillings? Do you have 200 shillings? Can they help me out? Can they do this? Can they do that? And I remember I struggled so much for almost that minute, but I thank God because I found the 900 shillings and I ran very fast to the chemist, and I asked for those medicine. Mind you, it was only 2 tablets, very expensive. And so when I came back, I asked my friend, because I didn't want to even look at my mom when she was suffering, because she was shaking and she was vomiting blood. Sorry. And so I asked my friend, is my mom okay? Take this medicine. I don't want even to look at her. And so this friend of mine took the medicine, gave my mom. And I remember after my mom took that medicine, she became, like she slept, and the pressure came down immediately. And so when she slept, because she was not talking, she was not moving, she was not doing anything, I asked my friend, can you kindly just shake her? Can you kindly talk to her and confirm if she is still there? Because she just kept quiet once and she just left. So I was not sure if she's there or she's gone. And so my friend told me, I think the medicine that we have given her is very strong, but I'm very sure that she'll be back up after some few minutes. Let's give her time. And so I just sat down there and I was like, I started thinking a lot of things. I was like, oh my God. I was asking myself a lot of questions. When you take my mom now, who is going to stand with our family? Who is going to pay the house rent? Who is going to fight for us because my mom is a fighter? Who is going to do this? Who is going to take care of my siblings? I was asking myself a lot of questions. And just after some few minutes, my mom woke up. And she woke up and she was almost even crying. And she told me, do you know what? When I see you at this position, you're not going to school, and here now has ended. I am not providing as a parent. I feel so bad. I feel very discouraged. And that's why you find that my pressure is coming up. And so I tried to encourage mom by telling her that one day we are going to smile. Don't stress up, because when you stress up and you end up like this, we are the ones who are going to suffer. And so my mom fighted once more, and she decided to be back at her feet. And so she decided to get back to what she was doing, washing clothes for people, so that we can at least continue surviving. And so, just to cut the long story short, I remember my dad came to visit us the second time, and that time I was not at home. I had gone to, just have fun with my friends. And when I came back, because I found my mom was not there, I decided to, sorry about that. I decided to go and ask those guys for money as usual. And so I came back and bought a maize flour. I bought some vegetables, and I went home when I was so happy. And so when I went and I reached home, I found my dad there. He was smoking a cigarette, and I was very happy because I knew this time that my dad has come again, I am not going to ask for school fees again, because now he has come. It means that he has come with the school fees. And so I was very happy. So I came in smiling and I was very excited, and I greeted him. Sasa Baba, I was like, how are you? And so, mind you, my dad was very violent, especially with me, because he used to beat me up seriously. Ever. Every time he used to beat me up, even with no mistake, with petty things, my dad used to beat me. So I had already gotten used to his beatings, for him being violent with me. And so I remember this day I was very excited. So I came and I asked, hey, how are you? And so he asked me, is that how you were taught to greet your parents? And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I greeted him even in a more respectful way. He was like, is that how you are taught to greet your parents? And I'm like, oh my God, Kweni, how am I supposed to greet you? I'm just asking myself. And I greeted him like all the greetings. And he was like, kneel down. He took this stick that he used to cook with ugali. He took it, and so he decided to beat me up with it. So he beat me up with it seriously until it broke while he was beating me. He decided to take his belt. He beat me up seriously with his belt. And so he decided just to give me serious beating. So I cried and I cried. And so he asked me, where are you coming from? I told him. And then he asked me, where have you gotten money to buy these foodstuffs? I told him, I have some friends of mine who have at least helped me out, because today mom has not arrived yet. And so he told me, if it's not prostitution you do like your mom to get this money to buy vegetables, where else could you have gotten this money and you're not working? And so I was like, oh my God, I know myself, I don't do prostitution. And now the point that I got so mad, it's when he asked me, where is your mom? I told him my mom went to hustle, because right now we are in a point of whereby we don't know how to start, where to start, where to look up to. And so she decided to go and wash clothes for people so that I can get my school fees. And so these were his words. If your mother is not prostitution that she is doing, what is she doing? Because number one, she is not employed in any office. She does not have any office that she's going to get money, so that you can assure me that she will come with money, And those words really broke me so badly, because he said, if it's not prostitution, what could your mother be doing? And when he told me that, I just remembered that we have worked with my mom as housemaids. We have struggled with her. I know her struggles. And then you come here to tell me that my mom is doing prostitution. How is even that possible? And so I questioned him. I told him, not even questioning, I just complimented and I told him, Dad, my mom is not doing prostitution. And I tell you, that alone was something else. He began to be so violent. He gave me names, he gave me serious beatings. And I tell you, my dear, this was one of my worst moments in life ever since I was born. My dad removed his wallet. He brought out a bunch of money and he displayed them on the table while I was still kneeling down. And he told me, what? You see this? This is money. And from today on, I am never going to make I will never, in fact, I will never cater your school fees. I will never make you go to school. From today on. Go and see if you're going to become a prostitute, if you're going to become a street kid, or if you're going to become a housemaid. Whichever one you'll feel you're comfortable with, go and do that. And those words broke me down so badly. He took back the money. He called the second wife and he told her, let's meet in a certain club, start ordering, I'm coming. Those were the last words that I had with my dad like this. I tell you, that time after he went, I sat down and I was like, should I commit suicide? Should I do this? Should I surely go and be a prostitute for me to survive? Should I go and be a housemaid as he had told me? And from that day is when I learned that you should never judge someone. Either he is a what or what, you should not judge them. And so I tell you, after that, I continue with drugs as usual. And I told myself I will never go to school because my dad has already assured me that he will never, ever, ever, ever make me study, will never make me go to school. And so he said that it is better off that he flashes off the money and see it going with a sewage, or just go with it in a club and drink all of it. That is what he told me. And so from there, it was very hard. It was very harsh for me. It was very hard moment for me. And
so how did
I had
you
no option.
eventually
I
come
just
out of
forgave
it?
me. I continued doing drugs fully. And after some time, I remember it is when now we received a call that they had gone to a mission in a place called Eldoret. And after going to that mission, there was a shootout, and we are not sure if he's dead or he's there. That is the information that my stepmother now came and gave us. And so he told us that he is. So what helped me, I got saved. That is what helped me, because one day I sat down. Let me just explain a bit how it happened. One day I was just prepared and I was seated at home waiting for a call, because I used to be a party monster. I used to be a person so much. So I used to prepare myself and just wait for a call. And so this day was different, because when I was waiting for this call to come, instead I had a voice speaking to me. And now this voice was asking me, look at where you have come from. All that journey I've been with you. Look at the hardships you have gone through. Is this the life that you want? Is this, it was asking me a lot of questions. And so I wondered and I questioned myself. And I asked myself, truly, is this the life that I want? Yes, right now I'm at the lowest point of my life, but is this the life that I want? And so from there, it's from that day I decided that I'm going to get saved, because a lot of my friends who used to ask me to get born again, I used to block them. And I remember at this point, I unblocked one of them who used to be very insistent, and I told him, hey, James, I think now it is time for me to get saved. And so he told me, Damaris, you are always a joker. You are always a joker, because you'll get saved today and the next day you are backslided. And so I told him, I am the one who has approached you. So it means that I'm very ready to change, and so help me out, because I really need God in my life. And that is where my transformation began. So I got saved in 2015 December. That is when I got saved. And trust you, my dear, ever since I made that confession, I felt transformed, I felt renewed, and I felt, oh my God, there is something that has come out of myself. There is something that has come out that was really burdening me, that was really making me to struggle. And
So
that
it
is how
was
it
during
happened.
this time that you found out about your dad being in a shootout.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so after some time, the good thing is that he found out, he found his way, where I think he slept. I don't know. He just bumped out of the car without the police knowing, because all the people that he was with that day, they died, all of them. I think there were 3 of them, no, plus him. But him, he survived, he escaped, but the police didn't know that there was someone extra, because they didn't have the exact number of people who were in that vehicle. But the other people, they were shot and they all died. And so after some time now is when we were told that he was found. And before he was found, because it reached a point after they realized that there is one person remaining, he became most wanted. And anywhere that he could be seen, people were told to make a call. And so these people that saw him, they instead gave him a mob justice. The mob justice decided to beat him up. And from there is when the police now came and took him to Eldoret prison. And so from there he decided, he began now his life sentence. And so we got the information that he's in the prison. Yeah, and that was it.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
how was your relationship now with your father?
So my relationship with my dad, number one, I remember after we got that information, and now the good thing is I started school, but I had to repeat. And so I remember that I was very bitter with my dad. In fact, I was just telling my mom, I wish those police could have just killed him. I wish that mob justice, while they were beating him up seriously, I wish they could have just killed him. I began to be so bitter. I began to become so bitter with my dad. I used to hate him completely. Completely, I used to hate him so much. But now let me tell you, after getting born again, I remember at this time now, when I was in Form 3, because I used to pray a lot. And I remember there was this time whereby I was praying, and now there was something that was really coming over me and telling me, you need to forgive your dad. You need to forgive your dad. And I used to stop praying. I was like, oh my God. Yes, I've made a lot of decisions at this time that I'm born again, but forgiving my dad, that is the worst and the last decision that I will ever make. And so I'm telling you, my dear, it was very hard for me to accept, to at least forgive him. But it reached a point, because this thing was really hunting me down, like every time. Whenever I'm sleeping, I'm having dreams. Whenever I'm trying to pray, the voice comes, forgive your dad, forgive your dad. And it distracts me even from praying. And so I remember this time I was in my fasting season. And so this voice came and told me, you have to forgive your dad for you to move on and to feel relieved completely. And so I tell you, I just sat down and I said, God, you have decided that I should forgive my dad. Well and good. Let your will be done. Those were the words. Let your will be done. And I tell you, immediately when I made that decision that I'm going to forgive my dad, I started praying for him. I started praying for him. I was like, oh my God, I know it's very hard. I know now the sentence that he has been given is very harsh and stuff. Just praying a normal prayer. And so I decided to forgive him. And I remember I said, that is when I made a decision and said, I am going to look for him in that prison. I'll make an effort of going there and tell him, Dad, I'm here. I'm back once again as your child, and I'm here to forgive you and tell you that I have nothing against you, and that God is going to use you, and you're going to change your life completely. And one day, I know that God is going to help you, and we are going to get back as a family again. And I tell you, my dear, I did it, and I told God to help me, to give me that courage, to give me that strength, and it happened. We went to community prison whereby he's detained, and oh my God, it was another moment whereby oh my God, I cried until the time was over for me to see him. But now I thank God, because we were added another extra time, and I got to talk to him and even just advise him. And I thank God, because even him at that point, he had changed and he had decided to get born again. And so at least we were in one spirit, and we were at least having a conversation that was healthy. And I told him, right now, I'll be your best friend, and I'll be your daughter anytime, any day. You can just call, because they call people who are using the welfare number, just to get to know how your family is and stuff and stuff. And that's how we got back with my dad. Right now, he's my very best friend. He's my very, very best friend.
Wow, I'm sure people will
Yes,
find it hard to understand because,
yes,
your story is so deep now for you to be able to forgive him. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's really something, and most people, I don't think we can do it. But if you can give advice for other people, because you clearly came out of it without it destroying you, because we see father issues impacting kids at a very young age, and absent fathers really impact both women and men when they grow up. They turn out for the worst, and it leaves a hole in you when you don't have that father figure that really to help you out in your life. So what advice can you give other kids or other people that went through this but somehow cannot shake it and leave it behind? Just give them advice.
okay, thank you very much. So for everyone who is watching me today, this is my encouragement to you, to all the kids, to all the parents who are watching me. You might be out there, and you might be going through a worse and a tough situation than mine. You might have be having that someone who has really wronged you, to a point of you feel like you just want to kill this person, or you can do this just to get over it and forget that this person was even existing. But this is my encouragement to you today. Everybody in this life deserves a second chance. It is even there in the Bible. It is said that we need to forgive 77 times, like we need to give 777 times. And so if God sacrificed his son Jesus because of our sins, and he decided to forgive us because of what we are doing, why can't you give this person another second chance? I know it's very tough, especially in my situation. He was my dad. Those bitter words that he decided to give to split out to me could have made me maybe commit suicide, or even do something worse with my life. But let me tell you one thing: despite all these things that you are going through right now, number one thing that is going to really help you, you need to invite God into your life. Because trust me, you without God into your life, you cannot gain that strength, you cannot gain that confidence, and you will never feel relieved. Because I understand that sometimes when we go through tough times in our lives, where we think we can find comfort is in drugs. Some people go to find comfort in alcohol. Some people go to find comfort in cocaine and all these type of drugs. But the only comfort and peace we can get ever in this life, I will tell you nothing but the truth, is to find God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and trust me, everything shall be added unto you, and you'll get to understand all these things, and you'll get to understand what forgiveness means. And trust me, when I forgave my dad, I felt so relieved, and that's why you can see me right now being so strong, smiling. Is as if it's something just normal. But God has really helped me to be where I am today. And for those parents who are watching me right now, I want to tell you that whatever words you speak to your kids, they are very powerful. Some kids will words you'll speak to them, and they are going to take it on the hard way. You'll find them they have committed suicide, or they have ended up in the streets because they feel, I am not loved here, I am not accepted here with my family. So whatever words you speak to your kids, they really matter a lot. But instead, I understand sometimes we might wrong you as your kids, but how are you going to handle us? At least, yes, you can beat us up, but those words, they are words that kids will never forget. Because even me myself, I have never forgotten those words. Yes, they say that you can forgive, but you will never forget. That is one thing you need to realize. So today is, let us love one another, learn to love your kids, learn to love your parents, learn to love the people around you. And whenever you have done a mistake to someone, learn to forgive them and learn to give them a second chance. That is what I can tell the people who are watching me right now.
Wow, it's really inspiring and such strong words from you. And that's really aspiring. That's all I have to say, because hearing your story,
That is my encouragement to them.
yeah, hearing your story, and from where you started and now where you are, and you've changed that. What is admirable about you is you've changed it into a successful story. It didn't have to end up bad, and that's usually what we see in most situations, to be honest. And it's really sad. It was not really the children's fault. A parent made the choice, the decision to be the way they are, or absent, or drug addicts, or alcoholism. And some can't help it, maybe they're in prison, and some are dead. And but you changed that situation for the better. And I think if anybody can take anything from this, is we are in charge of our lives, and nobody can take it
Yeah.
from us. They might cut it off, they might make it difficult, but we can still get up and make a name for ourselves. And I respect you for that. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us. And if people want to reach out to you, say hello to you, where can they reach you?
Yeah, so you on Instagram, my names are Dama Kimani, Dama underscore Kimani. Facebook, it's Damaris Kimani. And as I told you earlier, I'm also a gospel minister. So if you want to find my music, I just released a new jam like some days ago. You just type on YouTube Damaris Kimani. So don't forget to like, to share, to comment, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there is more that is coming. Yeah,
Okay,
that is
I'll find, I'll talk to you on the site and get your links, and I'll put them down below so that if anybody's interested, they can just come say hello.
yes, no problem.
Okay,
No
thank you so
problem.
much, Damaris, for being here. I really appreciate it, and you really made me look at life in a different way. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for having me. It was such a great interview. And just maybe to just give a last point is, I want to appreciate and to just give a shout out to all the single moms who are there, and all the single moms who are watching me. May God bless you. May God continue to give you strength to stand with your family. Because number one, I actually thank my mom so much, because if it was another parent, she could feel that I cannot stand this. Let me just leave my kids and let me just go somewhere else, because I cannot take this anymore. But the single parents, they should be appreciated so much. You might be a dad, you might be a mom who is taking responsibility of your family. May God bless you so much for us, and may God continue to keep you so much, and may God continue to strengthen you and to open doors for you, so that you will never suffer. That is my last point I wanted to say.